Hello, fellow readers and booktubers. It was just about a week ago that I posted a 30-second short where I just come out of the Court Theater. The Court Theater is in Hyde Park, adjacent to the University of Chicago. And I'd seen this one-man show called An Iliad, based on Homer's Iliad. And I just come out of the theater, and I wanted to capture my immediate reaction to what I had just seen. And all I really had to say about it was that there is no glory in war. I still feel that way. But I heard from some of you asking for a little more information about what exactly it was that I had seen. What I saw was this, An Iliad. Not the Iliad, but An Iliad. It was based on a script written by Lisa Peterson and Denis, and the performer was Timothy Edward Kane. It was a one-man show. Kane must be in remarkable physical condition, because for an hour and a half, hour 45 minutes, he just gave this performance of a lifetime. It was powerful, it was moving, it was quite physical. He was not reciting Homer's Iliad. This is an interpretation of the story of the Iliad based on Homer. And the translation that they based it on was the Robert Fagles translation, which I think is the most welcoming, or the most the one that is the most approachable. At any rate, it's not a strict recitation of Homer's Iliad, although there are big chunks of it that are taken directly from Homer, but they're connected together by some observations and ideas and sound effects and physical movement on the stage. There are moments when the story is brought horrifyingly up to date. In Homer's Iliad, those of you not familiar with it, the second book of Homer's Iliad is sometimes called the Catalog of Ships. And historically, it's very important, or very interesting, because Homer just lists where all the armies came from. And historians have always enjoyed trying to figure out where these city-states were in reality, or even if some of them even existed. What they did in An Iliad, instead of these obscure Greek city-states, Timothy Edward Kane just begins reciting the names of Chicago neighborhoods and some of the suburbs around Chicago. And then he reminds us all that the soldiers were just young boys, and they truly were. Many of them just in their late teens, and they've come here to die. The story isn't really about the Trojan War. The Trojan War is the backdrop of the story. The story, it's really about the tension and the rivalry and the anger and the hatred between Agamemnon, Achilles, and Hector. That's what it's about. And in fact, in Homer's Iliad, you're tipped off right away as to what's happening, because the opening line is usually rage or the wrath of Achilles. There was a recent, I think one of the most recent translations of the Iliad was by Emily Wilson, and in the opening lines she includes the expression, the cataclysmic wrath of Achilles. In the Robert Fagles translation, he begins with, he just uses the word, he titles the chapter The Rage of Achilles, and he just uses the word rage. Now, I don't have enough Greek to know what it sounds like in Greek, but I am told that the best translations are the ones that capture that idea, and rage is quite an appropriate word. It's very interesting in the stage production. Kane will occasionally slip into Greek, and you're hearing what Homer's audience probably heard when Homer sang this epic poem. It's almost as if Kane becomes possessed by the spirit of Homer, and it just resonates remarkably well. So anyway, it's not the story of the Trojan War. It's a story ultimately about this battle between Achilles and Hector, and how Hector is murdered, and then his corpse is abused, and then how Priam comes to the camp of the Greeks to reclaim the body of his son and plead at the feet of Achilles, the man who killed his son. Very moving stuff, very, very powerful stuff. At another point in the near the end of the play, Hector's been killed, and just the way the lighting is arranged on the stage, the whole theater is kind of in darkness, and there's a spotlight on the stage, and Kane is there on his knees, and you can almost see this broken body of this young man, Hector, laying there. And then Kane begins, it was this war, and then there was the Greco-Persian War, and then the Peloponnesian War, and then the Punic Wars, and then Caesar's conquest of Gaul, and he goes through all these ancient wars, and then into medieval wars, and then to wars of the modern era, and as he's reciting this list of these catastrophic moments in human history, his voice rises a bit, and he starts talking faster and faster and faster, and he just ends with the horror show that's currently taking place in Gaza, and then he just stops, and everybody freezes. You could have heard a pin drop in the theater. And by the way, the Court Theater seats about maybe just a little over 200 people. This was a standing room only presentation, and it was just quiet and moving. You could even hear some people weeping. Very powerful stuff. I strongly recommend it. It's going to be at the Court Theater just for a few more days until June 29th. As I understand it, this was only performed last summer, right about this time, and again at the Court Theater. I don't know if they take this on the road. I would encourage them to do this, and I would encourage everyone to see this thing. I went to see it just the day after the bombing of Iran took place under the orders of the current regime. And so, the fear that World War III was about to break out. In fact, that fear is still in the air. But to have that on your mind, and you go in and you see an Iliad, which is based on Homer's The Iliad, which truly is an anti-war poem. It's about the horror of war. There is no glory in war. And this production, it draws on Homer to drive that message home. So anyway, if you ever get a chance to see this, it's very popular, gets great reviews every time it's produced, every time it's staged. Timothy Edward Kane did a remarkable job, and the script written by Lisa Peterson and Denis is really very thoughtful, and I think it really captures the true message that Homer and the ideas that Homer was trying to convey. What has it been now? Well, not quite 3,000 years, but almost. Anyway, that's all I've got for you today. Hang in there, be strong, and never ever stop reading.